You are to treat the potential partner not like property, not like an object to be fixated upon, but as a soul, as an individual. Once you do this, your magnetic force will be increased, your pull, you'll be much more genuine, much more loose, much more relaxed, much more self controlled. This is more so advice that would probably apply to what is considered the incel community. Because the common thread that you do see that goes across many of those sectors is this abundance of anxiety and, like, almost say angst. Like there's a very deep, deep sense of urgency or alarm or some form of discontent that really drives a lot of those spaces. And if you have too many incels, how would a human race make it? We have to increase human compatibility as best as we can. And there is a careful and caring way to do it with consideration for all feelings involved. So on the incel front, they have to understand that the more they love themselves, the more lovable they will be. The more they love themselves, the more lovable they will be. This is what's going to be contagious to the outside world, to people around them, when they see how much they love themselves, and they'll feel it. There'll be no need to have a portrayal of conceitedness, conceit. There'll be no need to be cocky or arrogant. It's going to be the kind of confidence that doesn't seek to put others down, but lifts everybody up that it's around. It's this kind of confidence. It's true confidence. The kind of confidence that empowers other people, is a true sense of power. And this is the kind of spirit that stands to be introduced to a lot of incel communities, not just as an advice on a dating piece, but just as an individual overall, because what you want is for the dating piece of things to be just as organic as everything else. So what you're going to work on is the part of you that's universal, that's going to extend to each category of this. So if you're a thoughtful person in general, then you're going to be thoughtful in everything that you deal with. Examples like that. And you're going to adopt this, and you're going to be, it doesn't really have to be an altogether different self, but a new you. You, definitely, but a new you, though. A new you. This is going to increase your odds. The idea of attraction is not as much about looks as you may think, or status, or any of those things. Those things are not the end all be all on any level with anyone. It's all about energy. And if the person can feel you, they're down with you. If they can vibe with you, they're down with you, period. But how do you make yourself viable and viable? Is self-love. Not a selfishness, stingy, me against the world energy, but self-love, this kind of self-care, a delight in the process of self-maintenance, of self-care, to take delight in this process, to take delight in knowing what kind of challenges may present themselves in the dating community, and enjoying the thrill of the chase, just like each generation had to, who ended up dating with families, etc. We all know that it was like jumping in the pool, the first time you start to, talk to, whatever your potential partners would be. You're getting over maybe a social anxiety piece. You might be socially anxious. Your first school dance, you, like the rest of all of us, your heart was probably beating out of your chest, but you probably had some positive peer pressure in your corner that pushed you out. And it was like, well, shoot, somebody got to stand up for the team. This is my chance to be the hero. I'm just as scared as they are, but I'm going to step out. Incels, this is the same procedure that the grown-up dating world is. It's the same thing as whatever your experience was when you were very young as it pertains to other kids. Things that are normal, you understand, just within the normal confines, no extenuating circumstances or anything. In the confines of like a school play, or rather like a school recess type thing, you saw the girl you liked or the guy you liked, that type of thing. The first time you saw somebody you liked, was attracted to, that's the moment where that swimming pool, also known as the dating pool, emerges. You know, you're not going to really be dating as kids. You're going to be, y'all giving each other some kind of jelly beans or something like that on Valentine's Day or something like that. And probably a kiss on the cheek or something like that was probably the extent of what it was, maybe early on or whatever the case for you. So the ripples of that seed, though, is later on in life when you're grown, you meet your future partner, y'all both in your 20s or something like that, and y'all start a family. But if you don't take those very, very first steps when you are first beginning to be attracted to someone, if you can't get past that fear of rejection part, you can't advance. I mean, I don't know anybody who's batting 1,000. Maybe it happens. Maybe it's love at first sight. You see somebody and boom, you hit it off. Y'all don't have to go through dating, seeing this, knowing this and that, and being in different scenarios where you're gaining life experience. Like, nah, don't date this type, don't date that type, enough where you know patterns and stuff. Your experience may not be like that. But I want to include the information or some insights for people whose spaces are like that. We don't want to look down on the incels. We want to try to see things through the lens of someone who may not be really dealing or talking to anyone. Because it's different to say that you can relate to an incel if you've never been an incel. You know what I mean? If you've never not had anybody that you dated in like 5 years or better, you know what I mean? That would be like in the incel, on the incel level, like 3 to 5 years, I'm guessing. I don't know. These definitions might be different for each person, but I think it's somewhere along those lines. If it's like 5 years go by or something like that, then that's probably you're involuntarily celibate. You know what I mean? So, and then for some circles, depending on where you at, you know what I mean, a year might almost look a little incelish because it's so, it's so rife with sacral energy, in that particular place or culture or region or whatever. Right. So this is just to make the peace and to keep the peace, because what you want to do is be a peacemaker. Yeah, incels, you see the problems, you see what goes on. You may have been in some uppity spots dealing with some, with some sisters that really had, you know what I mean? Their kind of standards and their kind of things that they expected, the kind of things that they were used to seeing and used to hearing about. They already had their idea of the dating world pre-formatted. But you as an individual, listen, you as an individual, as a human being, you are your own dating rule. All your little quirks, how you are, who you are, what you believe, how you think, all of these things are your own dating rule. You yourself. Yeah, you can play a video game and still have a woman who loves you. Yes, you can. But you can't if you're playing it for 12 to 15 hours a day. because you got to talk to the woman if you're going to have a real organic relationship, or if whoever your partner may be, if you're going to establish any kind of physical bond, it's not going to mean anything but prostitution if you're not exchanging, knowing each other, getting to know one another. And I'm not saying this takes all day either. If you're forthcoming and honest enough, you both can unfold your whole life stories to each other in one night, in one conversation. If you really hit it off, you can find out a lot about one another very quickly, right? And if you're someone who it takes time to know, or if you're somebody who's ultimately guarded, then you're gonna have to understand that that's going to be your mirror reflection out in your world. You're going to be dealing with guarded people. If you're a guarded individual, life is going to be reflecting back to you. You're going to be looking like, man, why is everybody so guarded? I'm trying to go to this social spot, this lounge, that lounge. It seems like everybody's so uptight. So instead of making your case against the uptightness of those around you, consider, regardless of how uptight or relaxed you are, to loosen up even a little bit more, and then go back to these same social spots and see what changes. Because you got to approach this like a scientist if you really care about this kind of thing. If this thing really matters. And there is a certain amount of fulfillment that comes from it too, because at the end of the day, suppose you go out in the dating world, you link up with somebody wherever you link up with them, and y'all hit it off. To this day, years and years later, y'all raised the family well, and y'all are happy like grandparents or something like that. Without that initial meeting, though, these kind of things can't take place. So the thrill of life and the furthering of life is still tied into that experience right there. It's just as sacred to step to somebody, as it is to, having already been with someone. And for those in relationships, in general, you want to approach it like each day, as often as possible, the relationship can be brand new. You want to have this mindset because you're going to be subconsciously keeping everything fresh enough for the relationship to still be strong. You want to always be resetting the clock. When they play speed chess in the parks in New York, they got to hit the clock fast because the speed chess, every move you make, each day that passes, boom, reset the clock. Start off with a whole new list of I love yous. Boom, hit the clock. Act like you ain't even did what you did for your partner the other day. Just start over. Boom. You know what I mean? You might have made them dinner, but make them breakfast like you ain't even just make them dinner. Boom, hit the clock, the reset button. You hitting the reset. It's speed chess. You making moves. You got to checkmate this life. And who are you circling? The queen, gentlemen, right? Because we're talking about incels. But you got to be able to move along the chessboard, and you're going to have to get your social IQ up, because chess is about understanding that the pieces move differently. Pawns don't move like knights. Knights don't move like rooks. Rooks don't move like bishops. You know what I mean? Like that. And you're going to have to be open-minded enough to study people. It's okay to have your head in the books and be studious. This is perfectly fine. But you also want to be reading with your eyes in your living environment. You also want your results to be fluid and very liquid and very real time and very hands-on, so that you can see the words play off the page. You can see the different theories or the different terms. You can see these scenarios playing out that define these terms, where you can know where things are headed. Things where you can know that if you're stepping to someone and you're introducing yourself, if their hands are still sort of folded, then you know that they don't really want to talk to anybody. Understanding this comes with being able to be very observant without being creepy, because you want to insert yourself into the observation too. Like, if somebody sees that you're looking at them, when they look over at you, you go ahead and say hi and go back to what you're doing. Don't be creepy. I mean, these things, yes, they might seem like common sense, But it's okay to talk about these things. Just in case somebody doesn't know, may have forgotten, or think that this is not how things go. This will make things easier for you, though, because this has everything to do with being sensitive spiritually. I just didn't explain this in a spiritual way. I I used terms like what incel in the dating world, but all of this stuff ultimately is about energy. Energy is the ultimate eternal currency. But another very high currency that always trades in the universe's stock market is respect. And you want to carry yourself like that. Don't be afraid to smile. Don't be afraid to be silly. If you thought the joke was corny, you can tell her that it felt like the joke was corny when you know what I mean? Just this level of being real, even if it does involve some self-deprecation, not all, because there's a certain amount of self-deprecation that really just turns into a total lack of self-confidence, and you'll fold your hand, putting yourself down. You still got to carry yourself with confidence. You still got to walk tall. You still got to understand that you are the alpha and omega of you. You're still the first and last you that there'll ever be. You still got to carry yourself like you're one of a kind. That stuff is magnetic, I'm telling you. It works with anybody, anywhere, anytime. It never not works. But there's those that just don't want you to get a one up on them. They want you to sign up with them and with some kind of program to get whatever these kind of secrets are. But we're just making observations, like knowing that if you're talking to the person and their feet is turned facing you, that they're getting more interested, or when they start to lean in on your jokes and laugh to like initiate touch, then they're really, 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 really feeling you. You know what I mean? And all you can just keep the humor going until that moment comes. You know what I mean? So, these and more, it deserves discussion, because if we don't include like certain sectors of people, we'll mess around and, lose whole pockets of people. You don't really want nobody to go extinct for real. We need each other, no matter who you are or where you are. So again, this is Sigma, Super T Sigma with Sigma Program, and I definitely thank you for your time and attention. You know what I mean? Over here, reaching is teaching. Just wanted to do, a little heart to heart, you know what I mean? Just in case anybody out in the world is feeling any type of way on the relational level. And I don't think I really touch on that subject too much on this channel, but I just wanted to make sure that does get approached, and I'll add some more material in that realm too, just to make sure things are well rounded, that when you come here, you can there'll be something for everybody. All right, so continue to vibrate high, people. Peace.